how crazy it is going to be in D.C., the final month of a tumultuous 2025. And of course, Congress is barely even going to be here. The House is just 13 days left in session. It's only 12 for the Senate. But man, did they have a big checklist.
Yes, there is a lot going on. Let's start with healthcare.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchable News. It's Monday, December 1st, 2025. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the morning. Number one, Congress's big December to-do list. Number two, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is under scrutiny. And number three, it's crunch time for congressional maps. Happy Monday, Jake, and welcome to December. We are kicking off Punchable News AM with a look at how crazy it is going to be in D.C., the final month of a tumultuous 2025. And of course, Congress is barely even going to be here. The House is just 13 days left in session. It's only 12 for the Senate. But man, do they have a big checklist.
Yeah, they do. Well, happy December. It's cold out, which means it's December. So that's one thing. Yes, there is a lot going on. Let's start with healthcare. The big issue of the month, obviously, is Obamacare premium subsidies. Deadline is December 31st. When we left, Anna, before Thanksgiving, it looked like the president was sending signals that he might propose or support or do something in regards to a pared back 2-year extension of those Obamacare premium subsidies. I got signals yesterday from a lot of people that wasn't going to happen. Now, granted, I don't know what the president is ever going to do, and I think it's a fool's errand to say what he is going to do and what he isn't going to do with any certainty. What I can tell you is, as of yesterday, they did not seem very... I wish I had my notepad here, but it's upstairs. I just got a lot of cold water on the idea that they're going to propose some subsidies. Now, I do think that House Republicans do want a vote on something on Obamacare, but I don't know when that'll be, whether it'll be this month or not. So that is healthcare. I think this administration is just, they floated this thing. Someone bit and reported that they were going to do this, and conservatives went absolutely crazy over the idea that they were going to embrace this, a 2-year extension. What say you?
It's interesting because you see this struggle that Republicans have had on healthcare for, as we've said on this podcast before, a decade plus, right? And I think the White House's idea that they were going to try to do something was of facing the reality that they know that premiums are going to be increased and that Republicans control both the House, Senate, and the White House, right? And are concerned about what that looks like for 2026 and the midterms. Clearly, there's a lot of internal struggle among congressional Republicans. Speaker Mike Johnson has been opposed to this. I think a reflection of his conference. But this is not the end of December 1st of the healthcare debate, right? They're going to try to figure out a way forward. There's going to be fits, there could be starts. You could start to see something happen. And then right now, it appears kind of post-break that both camps are back in their corners, right? Democrats are going back to their initial, kind of negotiating talking point, and there's a promise vote in the Senate. I think the big question is there any momentum for some kind of a deal between moderates in the Democrats as Republicans in the Senate to get something moving? And then is that something that Mike Johnson, can deal with? Listen, he's already had to deal with multiple discharge petitions, and several more are likely to come down the pike. So he's in a really tough position here.
Yeah, and I would also say, listen, the shutdown, Democrats obviously lost the shutdown. They got nothing out of it. But what they did succeed in doing is forcing the Republicans into what I've said is a doom loop on healthcare. And that much is obvious, and we're going to see that over the next couple months. Government funding is another topic. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, wants to get the ball rolling on 2026 appropriations. He wants to get on the next minibus, and that will require unanimous consent. Both sides have been running hotlines to clear objections. House Republicans do not expect to put any appropriations bills on the floor in December. Remember, the deadline, Anna, is January 30th for government funding once again. Those kinds of dates come up real quick, Anna. January 30th is not so far in the future. And, Tom Emmer told us on Flyout Day a few weeks ago, I guess just told me because you were out that episode, that he wants to get funding done this month. it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
It is going to be a big lift for House Republicans. We also have the NDAA. The text of the NDAA is expected to be finalized this week, and it should be made public in the coming days. Of course, this is one of the last moving legislative vehicles before the end of the year. One outstanding issue that we have been covering every twisted turn is on GAIN AI. It's still an issue in the annual Pentagon policy bill. This is, of course, written by Senator Jim Banks and would limit foreign exports of high-tech chips. NVIDIA, which has a close relationship with the president, is adamantly opposed to the measure. And shock, shock, their CEO will be on Capitol Hill on Wednesday to meet with Senate Banking Committee members. So they are making a full court press here as this legislation potentially gets inserted into there. There's been some back and forth. We've talked about what's happening in the House there, but going to be interesting to see whether that ends up in the package or not.
Yeah, and also a bunch of other things this week. The SCORE Act, which is big NIL legislation, is going to be on the floor. That's a big bill, especially as we get into college football playoff season. And how about Lane Kiffin, Anna? We don't have to talk about that, but going from Ole Miss to LSU, I'm sure there's a lot of feelings on that.
I spent a lot of time over the weekend thinking about that.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm sure we'll hear from Steve Scalise about that. Actually, speaking of flyout day, we had Bill Cassidy on a few weeks ago. He said he wanted the interim head coach to be the head coach. I guess he lost out on that one. I don't think he might have been the only one who wanted that. House Republicans have their weekly meeting at the Capitol Hill Club this week. NRCC with its big Bright Lights New York City fundraiser. Republican staff directors have a retreat in Boston this week, and permitting reform on the floor this week. But Anna, let's just spend one quick second. Tomorrow is the big special election in Tennessee between Afton Ben and Matt Van Epps. Mike Johnson is in Tennessee today for his candidate Van Epps in a special election that in a district Trump won by 22 points. Should be an afterthought, but it's a close race. A single-digit race is what most people think. Listen, if Republicans lose this race, I don't think they will. I think they will win. And do I think that based on, knocking doors? No. But, Republicans and Democrats both think Matt Van Epps will win. But if he wins by 5 points in a 22-point margin district,
you're going to have a lot of nervous members, Jake.
You will, especially after CLF sold the Wall Street Journal on a story about their durable majority, how they were going to turn every election into a Trump election, meaning they were going to get the Trump coalition out. That looks awfully silly today. Awfully silly, ridiculous, to be honest with you, as Republicans struggle in a deep red state, in a deep red district, where they've had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. I think millions by now.
I mean, the fact that Mike Johnson is down there just showcases of how important every single race is with such a tight majority. And it is looking closer and closer that in 2026, Republicans could lose the majority.
But Anna, before we get on to the number two story, would Mike Johnson be going down there if they were going to lose? I don't think so. But think of this. If they lose this seat, they will have, by April, because Dems get a seat in Texas and a seat in New Jersey, they will have a 218 to 216 majority. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's barely a majority. It's not crazy to say Republicans could lose the majority of this Congress. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could happen.
All right, Jake, let's move to the number two story of the morning. The Senate and House committees that oversee the Pentagon are set to undertake rare congressional scrutiny of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over his handling of U.S. strikes on drug smuggling boats in the Caribbean. The twin investigations come as President Donald Trump stoked new tensions with Venezuela, raising the specter of U.S. military action against Nicolas Maduro's regime. This is big news over the weekend, Jake.
It is huge news, and you're seeing something that you don't often see, which is Republicans and Democrats being like, what is going on with this administration? And there was already quiet skepticism about the administration's war against narcotics and drug smuggling in South America, in the Caribbean. And we're on a war footing against Venezuela with a huge naval presence in the Caribbean Sea. And the Washington Post, reported over the weekend that Hegseth ordered U.S. forces to kill everyone on board a September 2nd operation against an alleged drug trafficking vessels, in the Caribbean. The paper also reported that military leaders allegedly conducted a second attack that day to target two individuals who appeared to survive the initial boat strike. Roger Wicker, Jack Reed on Senate Armed Services, and on HASC, Mike Rogers and Adam Smith said they're taking bipartisan action to gather a full accounting of the operation in question. Listen, the administration thinks, there's no question about the fact that the administration thinks they could run roughshod over Congress. And because they have. They have run roughshod
with
over
no
Congress.
Consequences. So,
Zero consequences. Zero. And so they're like, I can't put myself in their head. But the risk seems relatively low for the administration to do whatever they want and expect Congress to go along, right?
Well, certainly. And you saw on Saturday, Trump wrote in an extraordinary Truth Social post that he was declaring Venezuelan airspace closed in its entirety.
Yikes.
Suggesting that there was, military action that was imminent. He then downplayed it on Sunday, saying don't read anything into it. They're making all kinds of very aggressive moves and also aggressive posture that a lot of members of Congress are uncomfortable with. And it's not just Democrats right now, right? You're starting to see cracks among his support with Republicans wondering what exactly they are up to. Too early to say whether there'll be another effort on the Hill to rein in Trump's war-making powers in the region, but this is certainly going to be a major point of conversation as lawmakers return to Washington.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's run to the number 3 story of the morning. It's crunch time for the new House maps. December will bring an onslaught of redistricting developments across several states. Our very own Allie Mutnick, who's been covering every twist and turn here, has all the details, including what's happening in Florida, Texas, and Indiana.
Let's talk Florida first. The Redistricting Commission will meet this Thursday in Florida to plot its moves in the redistricting wars. Florida is going to be critical because think about what else is going on. Texas, in the next 7 days, the Supreme Court is going to have to rule on whether Texas is using their new map, which has been, stopped by courts, reinstated by courts. They're going to issue something in the next couple days. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a Supreme Court expert, but Texas was the linchpin of the entire Republican strategy. It was 5 seats. Indiana, the state house is going to pass redistricting this week. The state Senate is going to come back into session. The state Senate has sent signals that it's not going to support redistricting. So Texas and Indiana are they're problems for Republicans, and Republicans are going to try to make it up in Florida if they don't win those 2 states. But Anna, you're just seeing the slow motion blow up in the face of the Republicans' redistricting efforts across the country. Democrats say they started this. Republicans say Democrats started it. This cycle, Republicans started it. We're not looking back to like the days of the dinosaurs as to who started this. Republicans started it when they went into Texas. Okay. So let's just be clear about that.
And Democrats have done well here, whether it's California, we were reporting here in Wisconsin. Democrats' hopes of securing a new map in the Badger State were revived last week when the state Supreme Court agreed to allow 3 judge panels to hear 2 redistricting cases. Democrats were caught on their back foot, but have certainly given Republicans, at least a run for their money when it comes to fighting them state after state after state. All right, let's leave it there, Jake. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media. Tell your friends. It's the best way for folks to find out about us. And, of course, you can go deeper on all things Punchbowl News at punchbowl.news and sign up for our free morning newsletter. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.